Recording in progress.
This is a special meeting and public hearing of the City Council of the City of Nassau Bay, Texas, held on December the 20th, 2021 at 5 p.m. in the Council Chambers, City Hall, 1800 Space Park Drive, Suite 200, Nassau Bay, Texas. The Council reserves the right to meet in closed session on any of the below items should the need arise and applicable pursuant to authorization by Title 5, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. All the council members are present with Councilperson Mossman on video. Our first item is citizens' request for hearing before City Council. Would anyone who would like to speak, please come forward. Oh, the time is 5:02.
Roscoe Lee, 1631 Antigua Lane. I wanted to express concern with a couple of decisions you made at your meeting last Monday. First, a citizen requested transparency in your meetings and requested that your meetings be broadcast or live streamed. A motion was made to that effect and seconded. There was some discussion. There were questions about the poor equipment that we had. There were other factors that were discussed which weren't quite clear. A motion was made to defer that or table that discussion to a future workshop, which seemed reasonable to try to iron out some of these questions. Unfortunately, that motion failed due to lack of a second. So the original motion came forward, which had been seconded, and it failed by a vote of 3 to 4. My concern is that that indicates that the majority of you elected officials do not want transparency in your proceedings. And that has been requested by many of the residents coming to these meetings. The second item is you came out of your executive session with an action to name members of the selection committee for the next city manager. A motion was made and it identified a couple of the elected officials, one of whom did not vote for firing Jason, and also named former mayor as a person on that committee. Before there was a second to that motion, another motion was made and seconded, naming two different elected officials, both of whom voted to fire Jason, did not include the former mayor. That motion was passed by a vote of 5 to 2. I feel that okay, 4 to 3, okay. Whatever, what it does show though is there's a constant block of vote that seems to be defying the wishes of the residents. They're asking for transparency, they're asking for fairness. This type of activity has really created a lot of anger and dissent among the residents. And it's a terrible situation. It's tearing our city apart, and I hate to see that.
Hi, I'm Laura Ford. I live at 1911 Back Bay Court. During the last council meeting, Councilmember Johnson expressed an interest in more transparency and expressly releasing what he called the gag rule. With a lot of the divisiveness going on in the neighborhood, many of us would like to see that happen. I'll keep it short and sweet, but we'd like transparency and we would love for Jason and council to waive it and provide some information. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Jim Stahl. I live on Hereford Lane in Nassau Bay. I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that showed up for the holiday at park in uniform, the police department, the Marines, And Diana Clark, I don't know if Diana's here, but Diana's worked on the Toys for Tots program for over 15 years, collecting toys to give to needy children, and it was a great day. We also had another citizen that I just recently met, Tim Tasker. Tim's in uniform and works at the Ellington Field with the 1st Battalion 23rd Marines Combat Unit. So the toys were going out to the different Marines, got this program going since 1948. And it's kind of what I did in the Marine Corps too back in the 60s. So to kind of continue on with that program, it's a great tradition, and it's a great event, a lot of good toys collected. So thank you.
Brian Brown, 1454 Davon Lane. Mr. Mayor, members of council, next month we begin what is arguably the largest undertaking of utility upgrades our city has seen in decades. With multiple major projects and programs are already either underway or preparing to start, some of which of course will take years to complete, having someone at the helm of the city's daily operations is incredibly important, which is why it is baffling that we did relieve our city manager last month on the eve of the start of these projects. And while I have full confidence that Chief Cromie here will do the job to the best of his abilities and do it well, it is imperative that we get an experienced city manager to be hired on in a timely fashion with that search committee and the council doing the proper due diligence. For those not aware of the projects that are currently being worked on and are expected to start in fiscal 2022, the cost is going to be around $4.8 million, not all of it's on the city. But we have new equipment going into the playground at David Braun, the sand filter rehab project, which is projected to wrap at the end of March, the first phase of the sewer, manholes, and water line replacement projects, which is expected to start next month. We have 2 streets and paving projects kicking off in February and May. This does not include the ongoing elevation projects being coordinated by the city with the federal government grant programs, as well as the private citizen elevation programs. Center Point's utility pole replacements, future phases of the sewer and water line replacements, and potential replacement and redevelopment of median landscaping on Nassau 1, and of course the controversial Kid Course 1800 project. Also tonight, as a result of last week's council vote to not resume live streaming council meetings, we the citizens have taken it upon ourselves to broadcast the open meetings on Facebook Live on our own accord, be it through our own personal pages, the Nassau Bay, Texas Facebook group, the Nassau Bay Politics page, and at some point we will also be cross-posting with Clear Lake Now or I-45 Now, depending on whichever Mr. Alds deems better and more appropriate. The audio and video quality may not be the best, but it will help keep our residents engaged and informed in a secure and transparent fashion. The broadcast through Facebook Live is secure, with no way for anyone to interfere with the transmission. There is no concern regarding bandwidth restrictions, as the data is only going to Facebook, and from there, Facebook handles the bandwidth usage to an unlimited number of users. Obviously, simulcasting Facebook, and if we can get to it, Comcast municipal access would take a little bit more, but these are upgrades that can be paid for out of the $12,000 a year that Comcast gives. I'm sorry?
36.
Oh. Now, the $12,000 a year that Comcast will give the city for the purpose of purchasing equipment and operating the channel. Equipment will not break the bank. After all, we have ordinary people easily producing high-quality productions on YouTube, so we can easily provide decent quality for the residents here in Nassau Bay. Thank you for your time.
Boris Darzin, 1815 Devon Lane. I'd like to do one quick comment on monument at the Hilton. I suggest everyone to look what's above Nassau Bay letters up there with the Nike Swift above Nassau Bay. If you see, it's a shuttle, and it's a very symbolic shuttle. I suggest that someone produce something of that kind, similar to steel that we have in front here in this plaza. It doesn't have to be perfect execution of the shuttle. It can be something symbolic, and it'll be just as beautiful and connected and meaningful as what you see here. That's just one comment. And the second comment is, we're all much for beautification. We have one thing in the laws of Nassau Bay, or covenants if you want to call it that way, not to bring giant containers in a public view. We have one. I asked 2 city councilmen to help me out and understand how long it'll be how long we will stare at that white monster in front of our windows. I couldn't wait anymore. I guess there's not much we can do, but if council can import their power and ask the church either move it away closer to their main entrance or back entrance, wherever it is that pleases them, if it's a construction time or whatnot. But this is becoming a little bit of a storage for them to plug ugly things in front of our windows. We object. We all object. I think every citizen here wants to object to those things. We get used to it. You can get used to most anything, including this one. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
My name is Michelle. I live on Saxony Lane, and there's a lot of people who can't make it here tonight because they're working. So I heard a lot of people talk about how there's certain people that disagree with the firing of the city manager. But they're just the loudest people. There's also a lot of people who agreed with the firing of the city manager, and we elected people to take care of that. Now, as far as transparency goes, I would think that Facebook is probably not the best idea. People can come here. There are a lot of people that are here to watch this, but on Facebook, it would force people to sign up for a service that can ultimately be like censored. So if there's anybody here right now live streaming on Facebook, if I said the mask mandates are stupid, you're going to get an AI flag and they might take down your channel. So we could have our entire channel taken down if you say the wrong thing. That is up for censorship. And this is a federal or globalist organization that would be in control of our data, and I would disagree with that. If there was some other option, I'm not sure I want my tax dollars spent on that. And anybody can come here whenever they feel like it. And we get the letters and everything else that we got. So I would just like to say that there are other people out there that have a different opinion, and they are asked me to come up here tonight and say something about it.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
I do if nobody else
Okay,
is.
please do, Phil.
Sometimes we do things because the law makes us do this, so it wasn't on the agenda, so I'm here, Phil Johnson, 2011 Back Bay Court, here in Nassau Bay, and I also hold position number 2. I wanted to talk about transparency on 2 things, and I'll start with the lesser, the one that I think we can do something fairly quickly. After our meeting, I'm the one who made the quote that our system sucks. And the things around how we do things, and I had a number of people call me. Brian, you were one of them. I've had a number of folks who wanted to offer help. And one of the things I guess I'm looking forward to is having maybe a group of volunteers that would participate. I've arranged to have Gloria Day open up what they've done, because I'll stress what I said before, is I support the streaming. I don't like it in individuals' hands, or as one of the people mentioned, some people have some real issues with Facebook, but that doesn't mean we can't do this. Other cities do it, Gloria Day does it, we can do it. The other is I took up the banner last city council meeting, which I said I wanted to push for the city manager as well as the mayor to begin the process of taking away the gag rule. And I believe I made some progress, some of which I'm going to write here, or like I want to read, because this is something I sent to both the individuals to progress. I said, to the mayor and the city manager for the city of Nassau Bay, I am writing to formally request that each of you move to mutually agree to eliminate the legal clause that restricts any public discourse associated with the separation agreement. I firmly believe the citizens' requests for transparency and visibility are not only reasonable, but needed for proper public governance. Personally, I see no good reason for the community to maintain this restriction. I would hope both of you would take action or respond at your earliest consideration, and I'll bring up an executive session in tonight's special meeting with council. I've talked with both of them, and I have some things that we're going to discuss in executive session, but the desire is to push for transparency, push for public governance, and I'll work hard to do that. Thank you.
Bryce Klug, Cape Charles Lane. I have something that I think needs to be recognized. Former Director George Abbey was honored to be named, the Rocket Park to be the George W.S. Abbey Rocket Park. Abbey was one of the most influential NASA leaders to the end of the 20th century, distinguished himself through a career spanning over 5 decades. He's a Nassau Bay native, and I wanted to have a brief 2 minutes to recognize him. And Sandra, I gave you the link. There's more information, and I would request that you please put that in the minutes. I would be appreciative. Thank you.
Is there any other?
Hi, Lisa Brooks, 18635 Cape Charles Lane. And I'm not comfortable with Facebook. I'm really not. I think it has been hacked. I don't think anyone in here can say something free, anything free. There's nothing free in this world. I don't want my data. I don't want this neighborhood compromised with, I mean, we should be concerned about the neighborhood's concerns, the security of our data. And I don't think Facebook is safe with my data, okay? I don't use it, and I don't want to have to be forced to use it. I don't think that that's something that, you know, I should be forced to do. They could go out of business. MySpace went out of business. Hello? Then where's our data gonna go? They're gonna shut us out because that's what they do. We lose our confidentiality and our security as residents here. I don't think this is a good idea. Get another platform. I mean, seriously. People can't come here? What do we miss? This is a Mayberry. What do we want? We want this to be something I didn't buy into. I don't like that. I like what we have right now. And I think that, you know, I'm sitting here talking about Facebook, and I sat in my home for 16 hours without power this weekend. I mean, where are our priorities? Who's this guy, Jason? Was he in charge of my power going out this weekend for rain? Because it was flooded on Upper Bay? Let's get the Corps of Engineers in here and fix a problem. He was there 5 years and he didn't fix it. Why are we crying about somebody who had me sitting in my home? I gotta run a business out of my home. I don't have 16 hours to sit there and wait for somebody to get another transformer. What are we talking about? Facebook's not important. Jason's gone. We voted these people in. I didn't vote Jason, and I didn't vote all these volunteers in. I voted these people in. And I'm getting a little aggravated that we're wasting time talking about stuff that doesn't matter when my house is sitting without power and I gotta throw stuff out of my freezer because it rained? And we didn't know it was gonna rain? I mean, let's get real. Where are our priorities here? I'm sorry. I don't even know who this Jason is, but I'm tired of hearing about his name. Okay? I want my power running. I want what my tax dollars are paying for. I want the Upper Bay problem fixed. So I'm sorry, but I don't agree with all these people talking to me about being happy sitting in my house on a weekend, 16 hours without power. And I gotta talk about Facebook and Jason right now. Where are our priorities?
3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Do we have another speaker?
I have comments.
Oh, go ahead.
Matthew Brooks, 18635 Cape Charles Lane. My name is Matthew Brooks, and we live at 18635 Cape Charles Lane in Nassau Bay. While I have not been attending the council meetings, I learned this weekend that a motion was made to stream these meetings on Facebook Live. I agree with the need for transparency and that streaming would enable more to be fully educated on the current issues. I have serious concerns about Facebook, as I am writing to ask that they consider a different platform to ensure broader access and security. First, we cannot guarantee that these meetings are fully safe from being corrupted or cooped by outside entities that do not have the best interests of Nassau Bay at heart. Hacking into systems stories are very relevant in these times as well. Cybersecurity should be paramount in the effort to have a seamless and informative meeting. I am for transparency, but I am also for placing a higher regard for the security and sanctity of that process. Second, in suggesting to stream on Facebook, it could and would alienate those community folks in Nassau Bay that just don't want to participate or join Facebook outright. There are many other platforms that can be used that do not require membership to access their sites, and in some cases are a one-time event. We need to think about getting as many residents involved and making sure that access is broad and less cumbersome for all Nassau Bay residents. Just wanted to share my input on this matter. Thank you and happy holidays to all of our Nassau Bay residents. And then I did receive a comment from Ms. Laura Ford that she's already presented earlier. Sarah Plunk, 18639 Prince William. I'm sorry I couldn't make it this evening, but hope to watch the recording of the meeting, ideally in real time. As you know, it is important for a lot of citizens of Nassau Bay to feel like they are a part of the city government. Part of the draw of this city is that there is such a close-knit community. I would request that the council reconsider their position on streaming the council meetings or making the recordings available without a request. I know several of you expressed concern over logistics. However, proof of concept has already been established during the COVID streaming. We are not asking for perfect quality, just to be included. The variant has started to shut things down again. However, beyond COVID, there are many citizens in Nassau Bay that are homebound, elderly, immune compromised, have small children, and or have busy work schedules. All of these people should not be excluded from participating and staying involved in city government. Throughout my time as a resident, I have heard many elected officials lament about the lack of involvement in city government and participation. Then why then would we deny people every opportunity to do so? Failure to give everyone access to these meetings is a failure at being inclusive. It is a failure at getting people involved. It is failing to create community. At least 3 of you stated at the last meeting that there should be a workshop on how to best accomplish live streaming of the council meetings. However, when the motion was presented, not one of you seconded. If you wouldn't second the very thing you had just said we needed, it is obvious that you were never really intending to do so. Quit beating around the bush and gaslighting people with made-up reasons about why this won't work. It has worked. It does work. The videos already exist. If there's an actual reason why you don't want to live stream the meetings to include as many people as possible, let's hear it. If not, I hope to see the item on the agenda at the next meeting. Thank you for your time and your service to the citizens of Nassau Bay. Omar Abatine, 18327 Barbuda Lane. Like other Nassau Bay citizens, I'm writing tonight to voice my disappointment in the City Council's recent decision and lack of transparency. We all make mistakes, and unfortunately it feels like Council is currently knee-deep in them. As if the debacle with the release of our last city manager wasn't enough, Council seems focused on continuing the streak with their latest round of decisions. Let's start with a simple request for citizens' ability to view council meetings remotely. It's hard to understand why this request is so difficult to accommodate, given it's already been done, both for the council meetings and with coffee with the city manager. It's easy to hide behind the excuses that our previous council meeting was hacked, or the quality won't be great, or will cost too much. But these comparisons are not equal to what is being requested. I'm not sure if council is aware of how technology works, but there's a zero chance of someone hacking into a meeting if it is simply being recorded and broadcasted virtually. Nobody is asking for a movie level quality, nor the ability to virtually raise your hand and ask questions during the meeting. They literally just want to see it without needing to submit a federal binding request. Hopefully we have a few citizens in person tonight who are live streaming the meeting for those of us who could not attend a 5 p.m. city council meeting. Going back to the city manager mess, it's disheartening to hear the voting majority of a committee charged with finding a new city manager is comprised of people directly responsible for the release of our former city manager. Was it too much to even ask for one person who supported the last city manager to be on the selection committee? I'm guessing a fully unbiased and transparent committee was totally out of the question. If council's agenda wasn't apparent before, it's painfully obvious now. Luckily, city council members can be voted in and out when needed, but installing an inadequate city manager will produce damaging effects that extend past council members' terms. As if these issues weren't enough, there's also the kid course fiasco, the baseball fields that remain in shambles, the art monument money pit, Swan Lagoon's disintegrating playground, illegally parked vehicles in front yards, near constant waterline breaks, as well as a short list of other problems that the day council is either ignoring or hyper-focused on. Council currently has a lot of irons in the fire, no clear direction on which one to take out, and just fired the one person most equipped to keep the city on track. It is my hope that council will use the upcoming holiday break to pause, look back on the recent decisions, see past their own personal and combined agendas, and finally start doing what is right for the city.
Is there another speaker? If not, we will close the public hearing, and the time is 5:27. Next on our agenda is an executive session, and the executive session is as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, Exceptions to Requirement that meetings be open. Item 1 is to discuss under 551.074 personnel, discuss the employment, evaluation, compensation, goals, and duties of the interim city manager. So we'll ask that the time is now 5:27 and a half. Thank you, Pam. So we'll ask you please to vacate the chamber, and we will stop leaving.
Oh, there was one more.
Okay, we are back in open session.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. We left the executive session at 5:40. So, do we have a motion?
You get to read the script.
I have to read the script now.
Yeah, just read number 1 or on number 4.
Okay, consider and take action on authorizing the mayor to execute an employment contract with Police Chief Tim Crony for the interim city manager position as discussed in the executive session. Item 2 is consider and take action on the appointment of an interim city manager for the city of Nassau Bay, Texas, effective January the 1st, 2022, as discussed in executive session.
Mayor, I move to approve the employment contract making Tim Crony the interim city manager of the city of Nassau Bay effective January 1st, 2022, and to authorize the mayor to sign said agreement as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. The vote is unanimous.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If there is no further business, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Meeting is adjourned.